up to this summit, you actually tweeted out, if you were given the great city of Moscow for retribution for all the sins, etc., of Russia, the media would be asking why you didn't get St. Petersburg as well.
I said that. I said if I got Moscow as part of a deal, they said, here's Moscow. Please pardon us. That soccer ball was really very nice. I have to say, it was very nice. You know, they did a great job in running that. But it is true. You know, I said if I got Moscow, they'd want St. Petersburg, or they'd want more. So the media was very unfair. I never thought, this was when I said this is foolproof. I raised $44 billion, and the Secretary General said he raised $44 billion, and it was only President Trump. Because I said, otherwise, we're going to have to start thinking about our relationship to NATO. I also said this, NATO is wonderful, but it helps Europe a lot more than it helps us, and yet we're paying for 90% of it. So I was amazed that most of the media, you didn't, and some others didn't, but much of the media said that I was tough, very tough, and nasty to foreign leaders, and I really wasn't at all. But I did say you have to pay up.
Well, you talked about Europe as a foe. You talked about Vladimir Putin as a foe, and you clarified that means a competitor. Similarly, the media is upset, you say, an enemy of the people. Aren't you really saying that they're not doing their job?
Well, when I say enemy of the people, I'm not talking about all the media. I'm talking about there is a big percentage of media. When you look at CNN, how false their reports are. When you look at NBC and some of the others, when you read the New York Times, it's just story after story after story. That's just a negative spin. And we're doing great things. We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have the best unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Best African-American unemployment numbers in history. Hispanic numbers in history. Women's numbers in history.
14 states have records.
14 states. I didn't know that.
Record low unemployment.
I'm surprised it's only 14, actually. That's a disappointing number.
Well, you keep working hard. I think it'll get there. But the more amazing thing, too, is we have more jobs available than we actually have people on unemployment. And the labor participation rate in the country has never been higher.
First time.
Let me go back, because everybody in the media is so focused on this. In 2014 in the Washington Times, Devin Nunes said with a certainty that Russia would try to impact the 2016 elections. Barack Obama, in the month before the 2016 elections, and I will read and I will quote, no serious person out there would suggest that somehow you could even rig America's elections. No evidence that it has happened in the past, which is not true. And number two, or that it could happen in this election. And I invite Mr. Trump to stop whining and to go out there and try and get votes. He said that 2 weeks before the election.
Well, he thought Hillary Clinton was going to win, and he didn't want to do anything to disturb it. And, you know, frankly, when I won, he said, this is the biggest deal. But before I won, he said, this is nothing and it can't happen. It's a very dishonest deal. And, you know, you have to find out who did Peter Strzok report to, because it was Comey and it was McCabe, but it was also probably Obama. If you think that Obama didn't know what was going, when you watch, and I said it today with President Putin, when you watch Peter Strzok's performance, the lover of Lisa Page, when you watch that performance, the FBI, I'll tell you, I know so many people in the FBI, these are incredible people, what they're going through watching this guy, a total phony. I mean, how about we'll stop it, or something to that effect?
He said, we will stop you.
Yeah, well.
We'll stop him.
And then?
Insurance
and
policy.
He said, originally, I guess it was the two of them. No. Then he said the next day, well, I meant the American people. And even the Democrats say, that doesn't work.
No, reports Lisa Page contradicted him and gave a more honest assessment.
I heard she did much better than he did, and she was honest and took a lot of hard shots, but at least she was honest about it. He's a disgrace to our country. He's a disgrace to the great FBI, a disgrace. And how he's still being paid is beyond belief.
Did you like President Putin's idea Robert Mueller should go talk to him?
Because I was fascinated by it. So they have a treaty where they work together with the United States, because everyone said we don't have an extradition treaty, but they have a treaty where they work together, and his prosecutors would prosecute it, and he said that Robert Mueller's people could go with them, but they probably won't want to.
Yeah, interesting. Let me ask.
The 13 angry Democrats, you think they're going to want to go? I don't think so.
And, of course, his pit bull, Andrew Weissman, who I think has a pretty atrocious record that we have found.
It's very sad what's happening to our country because of this. We've never done better in so many ways, including economically. But when you see this thing going on, and I will tell you, it's driven a wedge between us and Russia. Maybe we've just knocked down that wedge, but it has driven a wedge. And President Putin said that. One of the early things he said when we started, he said, it's really a shame because we could do so much good, whether it's humanitarian aid throughout the Middle East, whether it's not just Syria, so many different things. The safety of nuclear, which is ultimately, there's nothing bigger, nothing more important. And they drove a phony wedge, just a phony witch hunt, rigged deal with guys like Peter Strzok and Comey and McCabe.
McCabe, Strzok, Page.
The whole group, and you can imagine who else. It's a real shame.
And there was Russia interference. Hillary paid through a law firm, a investigator group, Fusion GPS. They hired a foreign national that put together a Russian dossier that was used to lie about you, which, by the way, Putin confirmed today. He didn't have such information on you, apparently.
He knew exactly about it because he's been seeing it. It makes him angry when he sees it. And, you know, it's very interesting. You look at what's happening and you look at what that whole thing, he understood it. And he was, I don't know if you could see it, he was incensed even talking about it. But he's willing to take those 12 people. There is no extradition, but he's willing to let Robert Mueller's people go over there and bring a big investigation of those people working together with Russian investigators.
Last question, because I know you got a lot to do, and you just finished a busy day. You've now been in 21 countries since January of 2017. Like North Korea, you were very clear in saying that this is a process. Where would you like to be in a year, both with North Korea and with Russia?
Well, I think we're doing really well with Russia as of today. I thought we were doing horribly before today. Really, I mean horribly, dangerously.
It was that big, that dramatic today?
Oh, I think it was great today, but I think it was really bad 5 hours ago. I think we really had a potential problem. Don't forget, we're two nuclear nations. 90% of the nuclear power in the world between these two nations. And we've had a phony witch hunt deal drive us apart.
This is the biggest wedge. This was the biggest wedge.
It's the thing that he told me when he went in. He said, what a shame. He felt it was very hard for me to make a deal because of, you know, all of this nonsense in much of the case.
He used the word nonsense.
You have to understand, you take a look, and you look at all of these people. I mean, some were hackers. Some, then, you know, they 14 people. Then they have 12 people. These aren't 12 people involved in the campaign. Then you had many other people. Some told a lie. You look at Flynn, it's a shame. But the FBI didn't think he was lying. With Paul Manafort, who really is a nice man, you look at what's going on with him, it's like Al Capone.
2005 tax case.
Or a case that I guess is very old. It's just a sad thing. It's a very sad thing for our country to see this.
Mr. President, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.